So when I work with people, and even for myself, there were a few things that I wanted to understand. One is financially, right? Like as people who are financially and fiscally responsible, how do we make sure that we can take care of our expenses? So what I created essentially for myself was a review of what are my expenditures, right? From an income and expenditures perspective. So many of us don't have the discipline to go through our finances as often as we should. And trust me, I was one of those people as well. But going through this process, I had to make sure that we had enough for us to be able to cover us. So I call it kind of your bare number, which is essentially like, what do you need to make sure that you have that's going to allow you to be able to rest and recharge and do the things that you want to do during your break. So for example, I had originally planned that I wanted to do a 3-month break. My corporate training my brain was all about quarters, right? So I was like, 1 quarter feels right. Like I can be away for a quarter and Q1 feels like the right time. And so what I did was I said, well, what would I need to have if I looked at the last 6 months of expenses? What would I need to make sure that we had in savings to be able to pay for that time period that I would be away, plus a buffer? Because you never know what could happen. It could take a little longer to, let's say, find another job, or if you're starting a new business, you need to have startup costs. So the initial thought was, I'm going to have 3 months plus a 20% buffer around all of the expenses that I have. That really is the first key thing. Most of the time, most of us think that number is going to be huge and that it feels insurmountable, which is the reason why we don't take the time. But when you put pen to paper down, you start to realize, oh, actually, it's not that much. And how long would it take for me to save for that amount of time off? And so I have a calculator that says, based on your savings rate, your income rate, and your expenses, how long would it take you to save for a 4-month break or a 6-month break? And for some people, that might be 6 months, right? Where they can get really aggressive about savings and have a hard look at maybe some of the subscriptions or expenses that they have and be able to accelerate their savings to be able to do that work. And so my thought is also for me I didn't want to tap into my existing savings as much as I could. So I wanted to understand like, when's my bonus coming? If there's going to be a bonus, if there's any windfall opportunities that I could use that money for, that I would use it for my break. I'm not a financial advisor, but I also know that at the end of the day, dipping into your 401k for something like this, like if you can avoid doing that and avoiding the penalties, it's going to really help you in the long run, because otherwise it's going to cost you a ton more money that you might not necessarily need, that you could probably get the dollars from savings.